All right, let's go on. We've got some new rules that are coming down from the Biden administrations that could empower federal agencies to force faith-based organizations to violate their faith if they want to continue serving their communities in partnership with the federal government. Now, just think of that. It's incredible to imagine our government would force faith-based organizations to violate their faith in order to partner with the government in doing the calling and the mission that they believe they should do as an organization. I mean, we've just seen a continued hostility from the Biden administration toward many faith-based groups, and this is just yet another example of that. So what's going on? What can we expect with all this? Joining me now to help explain this is Travis Weber. He's the Vice President for Policy and Government Affairs at the Family Research Council. Travis, as always, welcome back to Washington Watch, and thanks for the incredible job that you do.
Thank you.
Well, listen, let's jump into this. It's a very concerning topic to me, and I think to all of us, our viewers and listeners alike. Faith-based organizations play such a vital role in assisting families, assisting communities. Tell us about these new regulations.
Yeah. So Jody, this is important because I think it may not get a lot of attention in a lot of media. There's not too much reporting on this, but this is all the more reason for us to explain for Americans out there why this is significant, and here's why. Going back to early in the Bush administration, there have been a series of federal programs that allow faith-based organizations to partner with the federal government to serve their communities. So the Bush administration laid out a protocol on this, followed by the Obama administration, followed by the Trump administration. And what the Trump administration did was it laid out a robust system for ensuring that religious entities can partner with the federal government while remaining free to live out their faith and in a robust manner ensure their organizational integrity was not affected by them showing up and saying, look, we want to help serve our communities, partner with the federal government, distribute federal money, but we don't want to be forced to violate our faith in the process. We don't want that to be a condition of our participation. So this was a good step. Now what the Biden administration is doing, in line with its other efforts to curtail robust religious exercise, it's rolling back large segments of the Trump rule. And this rule covers a host of nine different federal agencies and governs the faith-based partnerships that organizations can undertake with those agencies. So it's comprehensive, it's widespread. The reason it may not get a lot of attention initially is the changes really get into the weeds. The changes that administrations are making and what the Biden administration is doing here, it doesn't sound very glamorous. You know, it talks about changes to the way an organization has to refer or not refer or require recipients to go through all of its programming. This stuff is not, doesn't have a lot of zing for the average American, but it's important because this is what is shaping the way organizations can freely participate in our cultural marketplace or not. So we are opposed the changes that Biden is making here, rolling back the robust nature of protections in a host of different areas I can get into, but basically it's rolling back the way in which organizations can participate with the federal government and remain free to their faith.
Well, I don't know that it could have been explained any more succinctly and more profoundly than what you just described, Travis. So my question in all of this is, what is our conclusion? I mean, how does the average American citizen look at this and not conclude that these are but regulations that are deliberately hostile to faith-based organizations? Is that a true assessment?
Yeah, I think certainly in several areas, right? So there's a host of different changes depending on the agency, but if we can boil this down, I think there's two flashpoints. One involves the clash, which we know well, between the ideology of the sexual revolution, and that includes sexual orientation non-discrimination, gender identity non-discrimination, the clash between that ideology and religious freedom. You know, and here you have explicitly the Biden administration announcing that it is concerned about the Trump administration's application of Title VII religious freedom protections And so it's rolling those back, and it's discussing explicitly the curtailment of religious freedom for an organization, for instance, when it would claim to live out its faith in an area such that would impact sex non-discrimination. It mentions the Bostock case, which the Supreme Court pronounced erroneously that sex non-discrimination under Title VII includes sexual orientation and gender identity. So for the Biden administration to explicitly flag that provision, you know that they are interested in curtailing and suppressing religious freedom when the interest of the sexual revolution and sexual orientation, gender identity non-discrimination need to be advanced in their view. So that's an area that we need to pay attention to. Secondly, I think boiled down, there's a conflict between the state declaring the marketplace, the public square secular, government to be a secular zone, so to speak, and the religious exercise, robust religious exercise of, for instance, religious schools, religious nonprofits, those who might work with the federal government in these programs. So in that conflict, the Biden administration is putting its thumb on the side of the secularization of the federal government by rolling back areas where religious entities might engage in more robust practice. And so, I mean, this is, and the way this is occurring in the programs, requiring them to limiting their ability to require participants to go through a number of programs with the faith-based entity, requiring them to refer out, give disclosures that they're not engaged in religious non-discrimination. A lot of these things, it may not be objectionable completely on their face, but they are having the effect of limiting the religious practice of faith-based entities who want to show up and help in the public square. And so this is concerning. We hope people are aware of what's going on, and we do want to keep an eye on these things and make sure that folks have the right information and are engaged on them.
Travis, we've only got less than 30 seconds left. As far as I can tell, Senator Rubio is about the only one talking about this. Is there any other coverage? Anybody picking this up?
Yeah, Senator Rubio has done a good job highlighting concerns with this. We expect other members of Congress will be concerned, and we hope to engage this issue with them.
Travis Weber with FRC, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you coming back on Washington Watch.